Okay, if you're thinking of moving to Nashville, Tennessee in 2024, you need to watch this video before you make those final decisions. We're going to talk about 9 things you must know before moving to Nashville. Hey, I'm Susan Thetford with eXp Realtors. More important than that, I am a native Nashvilleian. I've lived my whole life here and raised my children here, so I know a thing about Nashville. So what we like to do on this show is talk to you about the things that people need to know, want to know, and are asking me about living in Nashville, Tennessee. Even more than that, I'd love to earn your business if you decide to move to Nashville. But my job here today is to share with you the 9 things you really must know, and be sure to stick around to the very last, because that's going to be the most important thing, I think, for you to know. So number 1, Nashville has been a darling of the media for the last 6-7 years even. And then with those COVID years, when so many people were relocating from their cities in some states, in particular California, Texas, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Illinois. When people were doing those moving, Nashville was on those top lists continually as a great place, a favorable place to move. Now, it still is, although things have slowed down a bit in 2023. And 2024, according to anything you might listen to on national media, you're still finding Nashville on pretty much any list as a top 10 city in which to relocate. Why is that? We don't have anyone. We have manufacturing, we have hospitality, we have the music industry, we have hospital industry. We have so many industries, tech industries, plus an entrepreneurial spirit here that people love. We also have less crime, less homeless than we're finding in so many areas. It's continued to be, throughout my entire lifetime, a place that was pretty stable as far as an economy goes, and that doesn't look to be any different anytime soon. So while many people are talking about the economy slowing down and housing prices going down and looking for a bust, I don't see that in our future, nor do any of those top 10 lists. So we're going to continue to be a hot city throughout the country, and that's just something we need to know. Number 2, in Nashville, you're going to need a car. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. We do not have rapid transit. We do not have rail trains, except for one, which is a passenger train, which is over in Mount Juliet, takes you from Wilson County into downtown Nashville. Unless you love to Uber and Lyft everywhere you go, unless you have a lot of money and you want to live in some walkable neighborhoods, and there, 1, aren't many, and 2, are not inexpensive, you truly will need a car. I had a couple who are in their early 40s. They've moved here from New York City, never driven a car, never ever wanted to drive a car. And they told me when they first got here, they wanted to be in a walkable community. When it came time to showing them the properties that were available within that range, it just didn't meet the other 65, 70 needs that they had. They are now happily living in the Williamson County area, close to downtown Franklin, but still need that car. They both have their licenses and didn't realize what freedom could be like. You're going to need a car. Number 3, everything here in Nashville is on par with or less expensive than any other larger metropolis city that you can think of. That pretty much, I've not found that any inconsistencies from anyone who comes from anywhere except for California, because my understanding is California, they do not have a sales tax on food, and we do have that sales tax on food here. We have much less expensive gas, we have much less expensive utilities, we have much less expensive educational systems when you go to the private schools. I'm told, I obviously have not put my children through private schools in California, but pretty much everything you can think of is less expensive in Nashville than it is in any other top 50 city, except for that possibility of the sales tax on food. Now, we also don't have an income tax, and that makes a huge difference. But some people who are interested in really being able to maybe take advantage of the fact that some surrounding states don't have sales tax on food have decided to live in towns that are close to and do their shopping in those states that we border. I can talk to you about that if that's something of interest to you. But in general, we are less expensive than pretty much every threshold of day-to-day lifestyle that you can think of any top metro in the nation. Number 4, Nashville is big. Nashville metropolitan area is centered in Davidson County. Davidson County is a large county, and we have many, many areas that I might mention that people think of, like Bellevue. I got asked today, what is Bellevue? I don't see it on the map. There are different communities that maybe more locally we recognize as communities and can name. But there's so many communities in just Nashville itself, Nashville-Davidson County. But when people consider Nashville, they're really thinking of the 8-county SMSA, which is Nashville. And we're really spreading out. As downtown Nashville grew up around the river, as most cities do, in the 1800s, 20s, 30s, 40s, commerce was centered around the river. Then, after World War II, when people started having cars and having easier transportation, larger families, starting to have more wealth, they grew out further into the suburbs and the suburbs and the suburbs. Well, people think of Belle Meade as in the middle of everything right now. Well, that was a major suburb even when I was even growing up. So when you're thinking of moving to Nashville, there's an awful lot of things to think about. Do you want to be in the inner core, inner city, high rises, walkable neighborhoods that are not very many, very higher priced and pretty congested? Do you want to be there, or do you want to be more midstream over to the Bellevue, maybe Madison, maybe Donaldson areas on the east and west sides? Or do you really mean in an outstanding county because you might find better schools, better public schools there, or more of an urban lifestyle, or more new construction? Because obviously the older areas have older homes, and either those homes have been renovated or various stages of repair. Most have been renovated and or torn down completely to have new construction on them. And those kind of homes come at a really high price tag. So as I was saying, Nashville is big. One other thing that I'm finding people expect here, coming from a lot of different areas, is some of the really large lifestyle communities where there's both residential and townhomes and apartments and condominiums and retail and liquor stores and all the things that you might want within one tight, smaller community, or maybe not even small, maybe 100 acres. We don't have that in the way that many other cities, Nevada and out in Arizona, a lot of places do have. We certainly don't have it in Davidson County. We do have it in some other surrounding counties. Providence over in Wilson County to the east, West Haven down to the west, Berry Farms down to the west. When we get further away from the core of downtown Nashville, we're finding more of those type of lifestyle communities that people want. With the newer construction, maybe pharmacy, the doctor, the grocery stores, all the things that you might want within your community, in your lifestyle community. We are getting more of those in the further outlying areas, still in the Nashville SMSA. What is it you want? That's very convenient. They're typically much smaller lots. So as you can see, this is all a balancing of what it is that you want, what's the most important, and what you want the most, or what are nice to haves. So we don't have many big lifestyle communities. We do have quite a few more planned, and the further and further out inside of the downtown Nashville, Davidson County area, the more we're going to find, because there's just the dirt there on which to develop those type of properties. Number 5, the suburbs is where we're going to find the growth. Suburbs is where you're going to find newer home construction at the most affordable prices. If we find new construction inside of Davidson County, it may well be somebody who had a 2-acre, 3-acre lot. The developer bought that lot and has taken it through Planning Commission, put in road, water, and sewer to be able to get several lots out of it. But obviously you can tell those will be smaller lots, and the price for putting all this in is very expensive, divided amongst only a few homes. Those are going to be $1 million homes if they're own walls. They're not townhome type homes. So it's just to know, if you want a single family home, and you want your own green grass and your own dirt and at least 1/4 of an acre, you're not going to find that until we go out a little bit further into the suburbs, where we have still farms of over 5 to 10 acres. We still have the growth of that capacity. And we have a lot of that growth. You know, going out west, going all the way over into Dixon, there's beginning to be a lot of more growth. Going up north and finding some areas that take you up toward Clarksville. There's a lot of land in between Nashville and the Clarksville, Kentucky borderline. There's a lot of land, and that's where you're going to find most of the new construction, most of the new suburbs that are at the affordable price point. And as you get closer into town, those are more expensive. Again, back to a balance. Number 6, I'm finding a lot of retirees are wanting to move here. Maybe they're reaching out to me because I look that age. Don't worry, I'm not retiring anytime soon, but I understand it. So many young people are moving here with their families because of all the reasons that people like to be here. The music, the lifestyle, the fun, the Four Seasons, we've talked about this a million times. So many people with children are wanting to move here for the lifestyle. They want to raise their children in what Tennessee offers, and fleeing in many cases some of the things that they've had in their old home state. I'll leave it there. But because of that, we're finding grandparents who also want to move here. One, to be near their children and grandchildren. Nothing more invaluable than that, ever. I've always lived around my grandparents, and they lived with us at different times. My children got to grow up with their grandmother. So there's nothing more important than that. But beyond that, we're finding the reason is because they want the good health care that we offer here. They want the different taxation that we have here. It's a much better place to retire, especially if you're on a fixed income, because of the tax situation and because of the economies of so many other things that we do need as we age. To be near family is important. But what we are not finding here, the large 55 plus communities that people may be moving from, if they're, again, from Arizona, if they're from Florida. We're getting a lot of people coming from Florida, frankly, because of the insurance issues that are going on down there. Won't get into that, but I have a really good partner with my business who is in Florida, and he's seeing this as well, Sam. Because of that, we're finding many who want to move here, but I just want you to recognize we're not going to find hundreds and hundreds of 55 plus communities. These are smaller places, more enclaved. They're centered so that they're easy to get to doctors and pharmacies and the things that we all need, but they're not inside of that development where they are in many places. But we've got it. A 55 plus community up in Providence, Mount Juliet, another one down in Spring Hill, when you're looking for the really, really big ones. But there are several right in Franklin. There's several in Nashville, the Cloister. Lots that I can point you to. Just don't expect them to be giant places with hundreds and hundreds of 55 plus homes available, because we just don't have those yet. Number 7, something we're finding also is that many locals are feeling priced out. Now, with that in mind, you may find people sound as if they're kind of angry with so many people moving in. Part of it is, we all know, however old you are, everything seemed a little better 10 years ago, right? So there's a little of that going on in our minds. But we locals are being priced out in many ways because of all the newcomers coming from larger areas where they made a lot of money on their homes. For example, people coming in from California who are used to having only 1,200, 1,500 square feet, selling at $1.4 million, $1.5 million, are coming here and finding our 3,500 square feet at that same price point is just heaven. And if there were 4 or 5 who were competing against each other for that same home, those prices even more increased. So that's really putting the pricing up a lot, because there just suddenly is so many more people looking and recognizing that Nashville is a wonderful place to live. That is just capitalism, right? But it does make it a little more difficult. So we have very little inventory with that in mind, because of the fact many times at my age, people would be moving out to a smaller home. They've raised their children, they've raised their family, they want to downsize a little bit, but we don't want to move out of our neighborhood that we love. We don't want to move out of the community that we love. We don't want to leave the leather goods maker or our hair guy. We don't want to leave the things that we have become accustomed to over the last X years, unless we can find a smaller home for less money in that same location. And we don't live in Disneyland. So that doesn't really happen. So because of that, many people are staying in place and just closing up the rooms they don't need and not moving. Because of that, it's difficult. The moves are slow, which leads me to point number 8. In spite of what you're hearing on the national news, and this is why everything is very, very local. You need to speak to somebody who knows what they're talking about with statistics, with information, with the numbers to can prove to you when I say that the housing inventory is still low. You can look at YouTube all over the place and find people saying that prices are crashing and sellers are reducing their prices all over the place and we're about to have a lot of foreclosures. There's going to be that silver tsunami of all of those like me who are supposed to be downsizing and we're just going to leave our houses. Where are we going? It isn't happening. We also have all the equity in our home, so we don't have to move. Those things are not happening here in Nashville. That I can categorically tell you. Right now, we have about a 3-month inventory. Now, a balanced market is considered a 6-month inventory of homes, meaning it's neither a buyer's market or a seller's market, meaning if there's 6 months of inventory and no other homes come on the market and all the buyers who are looking for a home right now purchase, then there's about 6 months worth of inventory available for sale. And that's not the case here. We are now more at a 3-month inventory. And again, it depends on where you're looking. If we're looking in parts of down in Murfreesboro, if we're looking in Rutherford County, if you're looking in Sumner County, each county has its own stats and each city has its own true hard numbers. But in general, this Middle Tennessee area is about a 3-month supply. That means it is still a seller's market. It's not too early. Maybe your move's a year off. Maybe it's 6 months off. If it's 6 months off, it's time now to make your plans. How are you getting rid of what you have there? What are you looking for to really delve in and learn this market? Now, everybody doesn't have the ability to sell where they are or move here and rent. Rentals are about a year long. Well, you know, if you'd waited in 2021 a year to rent to buy in 2022, you would have paid about a 24% increase if you bought in Davidson or Williamson County. That's just the facts. So let's start this conversation really early to help you learn and really delve into what do you need? What are your 5 must-haves? What do you have to have in a home? What do you want to have in a home? What is your budget? Where will you be working? All the things that help us pinpoint the right county for you, the right location for you, the right drive times for you, for what you want, and tailor a plan for you to make that move specifically easy for you. That brings me to another point, kind of like 8A and 8B. Crime comes up all the time. People ask me about crime. I can give you a website where you can check out the crime of the particular street address that you are actually looking for to see what's gone on within the neighborhood, within a week, within 2 weeks, within the last month, within the last year. We've got those. I, as a realtor, can't tell you about that, but I can lead you to the right direction to learn. Some of the similarities is schools. I can lead you to a place where you can research for yourself what are the best Davidson County public schools, what are the best public schools in Middle Tennessee, all the information you need for schools, for safety, for crime. I can lead you to the places where you can do your own research on that, but please don't ask me to tell you which is the best because frankly I don't want to be slapped in handcuffs and that's really not legal for realtors to do. I can help lead you though, and that's really leads me to number 9. The number 9 best tip I can give you is let me help lead you to finding what you need based on your needs, your desires, your family's needs, your budget, all the things that we talk about. And the only way we can do that is to have a conversation. So do what so many have done over the last several years. And I don't plan to retire anytime soon, but I have who are experts in every area of Middle Tennessee. So be sure to reach out to me. Let's start the tailoring of a plan, or to find out maybe Nashville is not your area. Maybe Middle Tennessee is not your area. Maybe you're so afraid of tornadoes that you don't want to even have the possibility of being in a tornado. Okay, and there's some information about tornadoes and our weather up here. Maybe you really want to learn more about Williamson County and the great public schools that are there. We'll find you a good set of videos that you can watch from here to learn all the things that you need to know. Until then, reach out to me. I can help direct you. See you next week.